There's a huge problem with people exploiting young individuals, whether they be, young actresses, young actors, whoever it is, and then taking advantage of them sexually. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. But guess what? It's not unique to Hollywood. It happens everywhere. It happens absolutely everywhere. So to then isolate that one little thing, which is what, conspiracy theorists and ex-alt-writers or current alt-writers like to do, where they talk about how there's this global cabal of pedophiles in Hollywood. Often, it's tied to deeply anti-Semitic beliefs, but they know now to keep those masks on, don't do the dog whistles a little too loudly. So that won't be said anymore. Now we say the globalists and we say the elites.
Sold her out! Yeah. It is time to free Britney, and with that, here's Matt Gaetz.
A hearing in this case that does not result in freedom for Britney Spears and dissolution of this guardianship. It is a black eye on the American justice system. There were grifters in this process that tried to act like they spoke for Britney, that they knew what she wanted. Well, now the whole world knows what Britney Spears wants, and it is the freedom and the liberty that should be offered to every single American. Free Britney and ensure that we change the world. Britney has been abused by the media, she's been abused by a grifter father, and she has been abused by the American justice system. And so we need to come together and to create a federal cause of action, a federal change in the law that will free Britney and the millions of Americans who are impacted by a corrupt guardianship system that empowers people to take advantage of the weak. That is what we stand for, and that should unite all Americans. There's a lot that's still—
Why are you cheering? What, do you know what this man has done? Do you know what he's accused of? Like, holy shit. Like, these accusations of, like, human trafficking of a minor. Who are you to stand up and posture right now?
Divides us, but one thing we can all agree on is that
of a minor
is a dick. And make any more decisions regarding his daughter. She is nearly 40 years old. She should make her own decisions. But you know what? This case should,
like, fuck, holy, the virtue signaling on display here.
Open our eyes to the broader abuse that occurs in this system, to the millions.
Yeah, you're definitely one to speak about abuse.
Of Americans impacted, and if we come together, then we think that Britney's final act could be one of graciousness, could be one of joy, and could be one that can help liberate many other Americans. Thank you to the organizers. Thank you to all of you who lend your voice to this. Britney has a chance because we all love her and care about her, and we will not.
Oh, Britney's come out as a potential Dem Sock. Yeah, I mean, she hasn't said that she's Comrade Britney. I think we're eager to jump onto the train there. But again, the Free Britney movement is about a handful of things, amongst them workers' rights, for sure.
Was back in a California courtroom today where the judge issued a major ruling. Judge Brenda Penny decided to let the pop star hire her own attorney. This hearing comes just a few weeks after Britney's bombshell testimony to the court where she called her conservatorship abusive. She also made some horrifying claims, including being forced to perform, being forced to take medication, and being forced to keep in an IUD. Shortly after that hearing, her court-appointed attorney, Sam Ingham, resigned. And the co-conservator of Britney's finances, Bessemer Trust, also resigned. At the same time, Britney's father and co-conservator Jamie Spears filed a motion to investigate the claims his daughter made during her testimony. He's also trying to cast doubt on another co-conservator, Jody Montgomery. Montgomery says she's looking out for Britney's best interest. But Jamie Spears says he is, quote, concerned about the management and care of his daughter. And in case there wasn't enough to talk about surrounding today's hearing, Florida Congressman Republican Matt Gaetz made things even more wild by showing up outside of the courthouse. I just have one question, just like why is that happening at all? Joining me now is Doa Madani. She's a breaking news reporter for NBC News and has been following all the latest developments in the Britney Spears case, which we have covered multiple days on this show because I think this case is really interesting. It's as much about Britney Spears and her life as it is about us. But Doa, first of all, do we know why Congressman Matt Gaetz was there?
Oh yeah,
Like, what was he doing
Gaetz
there? Was it busy?
is trying to get clout. 100%.
Not specifically why he was there today, although, like you said, it is a case of huge interest that affects all of us. Matt Gaetz, I think with Marjorie Taylor Greene, three names, had sent a letter to Britney following her testimony, inviting her to speak to Congress, and has called.
Wow. Yeah, let's get the woman who didn't know the Holocaust was bad until she had to learn about it from a museum.
Conservatorship's really concerning. Has called for a federal look at what is going on in these cases. Today, he spoke to the Free Britney rally and said that any day or any hearing that does not result in her freedom is a black eye on the American justice system. And I should say that this has drawn bipartisan interest. Senator Elizabeth Warren and Bob Casey sent a letter to the Attorney General and Secretary of the Health and Human Services to start collecting data on how these conservatorships work.
I mean, conservatorships are a whole area of the law. It depends what state you live in, but it is an area of the law that certainly should get scrutiny and be seriously considered. But in this specific case, it's just so odd because it's very different than even a run-of-the-mill conservatorship case. You're talking about an able-bodied adult woman who is able to perform in Las Vegas, which I cannot do. I don't know about you, but I'm not performing in Vegas every night.
Absolutely.
And that seems to be done by somebody who's competent and disciplined. So the fact that we're at the place where she's now able to choose her own lawyer, which I think people need to understand that she's paying for all of the lawyers, all of them, even the ones that are against her orders and her desires here. She's paying for all the lawyers here, but now she's finally going to get one that she can pick on her own, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is a huge decision that happened today. Sam Ingham has been Britney's court-appointed attorney since 2008 for 13 years. And during her testimony last month, she said that though she has developed a great relationship with Sam, he has made her feel like she has to be silent. She said that she wasn't fully informed about her right to end or petition to end the conservatorship. And this is a big deal. This is her due process right to choose her own attorney, who she pays for. She pays for, like you said, everybody's attorney, including her father's attorneys. So this was a very, very big deal. And I just want to shout out Alicia Lozano, who is our reporter in the courthouse today, who ran out of court while things were still going to get us that news.
Last name is Guzano? Oh.
Favorite thing, the reporters running to deliver breaking news. Britney Spears' testimony last month, it's the kind of cultural moment, like I said at the top, that, it makes everybody sort of stop and pause and think. What surprised you the most about her testimony? I'm still processing it myself. Do you think it was a really important moment just for our culture, for her to speak her truth in that way?
Oh, it was massively important. I've said that I want everybody to actually hear her voice when she speaks because it's very different from what we've been hearing on her Instagram videos. The underlying pain and fury in her voice, I think that was one of the most alarming things to me. I wasn't surprised about the allegations about her father, but what I was really shocked by were the allegations that she found her psychiatrist, who's now deceased, her former psychiatrist, that his treatment was abusive and that she felt like she had no control over her own care. If her medical records are sealed from the record, that is a privacy concern. But if anyone who has a mental health issue does not feel comfortable with their care, I don't see how they can get better. And that's something that I spoke to multiple experts about this past week. And honestly, even if those allegations are true, it's unlikely that will be the thing that ends her conservatorship, which to me is just really amazing in a bad way.
Yeah, no, it is incredible. What's next in this case? What's coming up? More hearings? Do you see a complete dissolution of this conservatorship coming? Are we going to get there soon?
Probably not soon. The procedure is that she will have to officially petition the court to end the conservatorship, which she has not done yet, which presumably the new lawyer will work on. She has just told the court verbally that she wants it to end. So that would be a trial. And in the meantime, there's a lot of things to sort out. She still has an annual budget that needs to be sorted and a medical care plan. Her conservator of the person, Jody Montgomery, alluded to the court in a filing last week that she plans on presenting a medical care plan that would carve out a path for freedom for her and independence, which is something that she said that Britney has wanted for a very long time. There's still the matter of security costs and concerns that have been raised with the court because Montgomery says that she has received a lot of death threats since the last testimony. Something to be clear is that Britney said today she wants Montgomery to stay on if she has to deal with her father, which I think is an important note.
Oh no, this is all new. It's all coming at the heels of the Matt Gaetz appearing.
Britney, a federal change in the law that will free Britney and the millions of Americans who are impacted by a corrupt guardianship system that empowers people that take advantage of the weak. That is what we stand for, and that should unite all Americans.
Definitely not going to talk about the misogynistic aspects of this entire ordeal either. I mean, why would he? You know, it's a potential human trafficker trying to talk about conservationships. Interesting.
I was enraged. I was upset over how she's used as a slave and a cash cow. And she's so talented. She works harder than anyone, and she deserves her own freedom.
I'm a slave for you. I'm so excited. Cannot hide it.
I love her so much, and I feel that if you're an adult, you should be able to live your life and not be controlled. And I think maybe that stems from me being controlled so much, so I can understand how that would feel.
I lived in Hollywood during that time.
Forgiveness is not always easy. At times it feels more painful than the wound we suffered. To forgive one that inflicted it, there cannot be peace without forgiveness. Marianne Williamson. I use the bread. Read it. Oh, you cashed in the points? Sorry. Allow me to pay my debt then. Forgiveness is not always easy. At times it feels more painful than the wounds we suffered. To forgive the one that inflicted it, and yet there is no peace without forgiveness. Marianne Williamson. I use the bread. Read it, motherfucker. You didn't need to add that last part. I would have done it. I would have done it regardless, but here we are. Yeah.
And I've made it my life's mission to tell all of you out there what so many of you really know deep down, that fame and Hollywood and the media machine are rotten to the core.
If you're unaware, Britney Spears has found herself back in the news with a fascinating court statement made public a few days ago. Last time I remember even thinking about Britney Spears was when someone showed me a bizarre Instagram video of her just spinning in circles, and thinking to myself, it really looks like this woman has lost the plot, as many people had concluded about her, whether it be from her.
Oh, wow. I'm sure the thing that popped up in Lauren Souther's mind is like, oh, Britney Spears, look, she still has mental illness, tee-hee. It's the same mentality that went down at the very beginning of the entire Britney Spears ordeal that led to her having this conservatorship, where everyone was like, oh, wow, yeah, she's crazy. So clearly something is, I mean, she shaved her head, oh, I mean, she's even showing the photo of it right here. I mean, what happened? What happened?
Her 2008 breakdown or otherwise. And given this kind of perception of Britney as crazy, you just never really heard much publicly about the fact that her father was controlling her funds and life under a conservatorship, or if it...
Holy shit. Okay, learn the timeline. I mean, that's a challenge that Lauren Southern is never going to accept, which learn about something before you speak about it. But at the same time, if you're talking about like Britney Spears and what happened and how she entered the conservatorship, like watch the documentary. It's very clear that when she was having a public breakdown, when she had lost custody of her children, and there was so much stuff happening simultaneously, and then yes, there was all that public events where she either had photos taken of her when she was like, half naked, or she had shaved her head and she was attacking journalists, aka paparazzi in cars. It was at that time that her father, being an absolute fucking scumbag, wanted to take advantage of it, and went to such extremes that he actually had her sign over her life for that.
It was discussed publicly. It was just kind of, well, guess that's the thing to do with a crazy woman.
I was on tour in 2018. I was forced to do. My management said if I don't do this tour, I will have to find an attorney, and by contract, my own management could sue me if I didn't follow through with the tour. He handed me a sheet of paper as I got off the stage in Vegas and said I had to sign it. It was very threatening and scary, and with the conservatorship, I couldn't even get my own attorney, so out of fear, I
Thinks
went
he's
ahead
the
and I
next
did the
Mao?
tour.
Oh,
When I
man.
came off that tour, a new show in Las Vegas was supposed to take place. I started rehearsing early, but it was hard because I'd been doing Vegas for 4 years and I needed a break in between. But no.
That's amazing. All right. Mao is coming down from the mountain. All right. Our day is coming soon. Enjoy the recent presentation. All right.
I was told this is the timeline and this is how it's going to go.
So what came as such a shock to everyone with Britney's court statement was just how lucid and articulate she was. They were not the words of a mad woman. They were the words of a terrified and traumatized, perfectly sane woman, talking about how the Hollywood machine had destroyed her, gaslit her, and worked with the media to establish her insanity so she could be used as a product by her father and producers to keep making money on tours she didn't want to go on, taking drugs she didn't want to take, like lithium, and living a life she had no interest in. They even forced the poor woman to have an IUD in so she couldn't have children. There are babies being born every minute in the state of California to literal ice addicts who are legally allowed to have children, but Britney...
Ice addicts? Wait, what? Are you throwing down the street, the slang for the meth? Damn. Cool, bro.
He can't because her dad is rich and they've decided she's an asset to make money off of.
And she revealed what many in the Free Britney movement have long suspected, that her public claims of being happy, like this video she posted in April, were all a lie.
I'm totally fine. I'm extremely happy. I have a beautiful home, beautiful children.
Now I'm telling the truth, okay? She told the judge, I'm not happy. I'm so angry it's insane. And I'm depressed. I cry every day. I just want my life back.
With this new audio clip, thankfully, a whole new discussion about abuse in the entertainment industry has begun. And more importantly, one of how this was even allowed to happen in the first place. How do we have this established class of elites able to manipulate the laws to their whims to this degree? And that is actually what this story is about. It's not about famous people. It's not some fun drama to watch in the gossip rags. People may fob off this entire incident as just, well, you know, Britney Spears is rich anyways. She can't have been that sad if her dad took a bit of money and a bit of management. But if you're seeing it that way, you are tragically missing the point.
I wish I could stay with you on the phone forever because
I feel like Lauren is coming so close to the point multiple times here. You know, she's inching ever close.
when I get off the phone with you, all of a sudden, I hear all these no's, no, no, no. And then all of a sudden I feel ganged up on and I feel bullied and I feel left out and alone. And I'm tired of feeling alone.
We have celebrities right now who are so close to the elites, to their inner circles, their family members, financial partners, friends.
The elites, the global elites, and the cannibalistic pedophiles.
Trying desperately to warn us about their corruption and sickness. Not only that, but the dark side of these.
So how does one leave the secret cult of the globalist pedophiles? Is if you do a concert and you say "Free Britney" and then that's like you're no longer part of it? If that's the case, then please free Britney. I don't want to be associated with them.
These beautiful material facades, sacrificing their careers, reputations, and lives to try to wake us up out of this fever dream in which we adore Hollywood.
We spent a lot of time analyzing the little breadcrumbs you leave us, the clues.
Thank you. 1978. There you are saying about Jimmy Savile, he was into all kinds of seed.
Holy shit, she's actually turning this. I was doing a bit. I didn't think she was going to turn this into the global elites pedophile cult of Hollywood. The liberal pedophile cult of Hollywood. All right. Well, yeah, I mean, sign me up. I'm ready to learn. Teach me more, Lauren Southern.
that we all knew about. We weren't allowed to talk about it. I know some rumors.
My name is Evan Rachel Wood, and I'm an artist, but I am also a domestic violence and sexual assault survivor and the single mother of a young boy.
Harvey Weinstein invites you to a private party and enforce these and stuff.
And we are too busy getting lost in the weeds of right versus.
Okay, I'm gonna cut this one at the source. Not that we're gonna stop watching the video. I just want to say that hey everyone, there's a huge amount of sexual abuse, sexual assault, particularly on the behalf of cis men, everywhere. That just statistically it takes place in most environments. Okay, it is a problem. It has a number of reasons, and I'm sure we're not going to address any of them right now. And yes, it exists in Hollywood. There's a huge problem with people exploiting young individuals, whether they be, young actresses, young actors, whoever it is, and then taking advantage of them sexually. It's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. But guess what? It's not unique to Hollywood. It happens everywhere. It happens absolutely everywhere. So to then isolate that one little thing, which is what, conspiracy theorists and ex-alt-writers or current alt-writers like to do, where they talk about how there's this global cabal of pedophiles in Hollywood. Often, it's tied to deeply anti-Semitic beliefs, but they know now to keep those masks on, don't do the dog whistles a little too loudly. So that won't be said anymore. Now we say the globalists and we say the elites,
Has left political battles and cults of personality to focus on the real enemy here.
I'm not going after men in this situation. That's just Hollywood. I'm going after the cult.
I've even noticed this in myself. For example, when all the Me Too stuff came out, there are very legitimate criticisms of that movement going too far and false accusations that occurred. But in that whole...
Go on, please. Tell me which ones were false. Which ones was it Weinstein? Was that the one? Or was it Cosby? I guess Cosby is technically going to be getting out of jail, so maybe that's the one.
Mess of making exposure of abuse about feminist politics and a bandwagon of everyone wanting their own headline. I know there would be some very...
Oh, it was Gaetz, Matt Gaetz. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Probably, yeah. Okay.
Genuine voices trying to warn us about legitimate things that happened that were left forgotten again.
Is that him? Mm-hmm. That's him, the man who abused you. Did you give his name to the LAPD?
Yes.
And if I'm being honest, I truly think this may have been deliberate confusion. Throw in bad apples so we can't discern who's telling the truth and get lost in the arguments over that. One of the key ways the Hungarian Communist Party took over complete power in the country was by using something called salami tactics, where they carefully and deliberately...
You're actually going to use this? Holy shit, Lauren.
eliminate their opposition slice by slice. So for example, if we're talking about conservatives, the attacking party and their influencers will make it known it's fine to be a conservative, but you just can't be conservative and also support, I don't know, Mormons. We'll just pick that as an example. And because Mormons would be such a small group in their party, such a small faction, and their enemies would be going after them so hard consistently, everyone would just decide, well, it's just easier to disassociate with and kick out the Mormons than to defend them. That'll just make our elections easier. The Mormons would then be ousted and turned against the conservatives. Then, next, the attacking group would pick another faction and another faction and another and slowly slice them away until...
She has to be memeing. Right? There's no way. There's no way she's not memeing. You can't take yourself seriously and propose this as like a legitimate argument.
Until there's no conservative party left. Before they know it...
Is this what she wants to debate about, do you think? Can we talk about salami theory? I would love to discuss this.
They're split into so many separate factions that are infighting, they are incapable of defending against a larger force.
Of course.
And in my opinion, that is what is happening here.
The disgusting pedophile cult of Hollywood. And we're not going to call it out anywhere else. Anywhere else where there's rampant sexual assault. You know. Hey, you know who Lauren Southern likes to defend a lot, and is actually going to task right now, wanting people to stand outside of their houses of worship? The Catholics. Like Lauren is quite a big fan of the Catholics. I've never seen her talk about their little problem with pedophilia. I mean, I don't even know if we could call it little, as so much it is the most coordinated pedophile organization, I believe, in human history, in terms of having stations across the planet, in terms of their income, in terms of their protection. They're considered their own sovereign nation. That's pretty wild. They're a country. Like they're an actual country. It's an organization, it's a religion, it's a country, and it's a pedophile ring. A pedophile ring that is protecting its own against the rampant global pedophile network. So how about that? Or the US Boy Scouts. Yeah, where are the US Boy Scouts now? What happened to them? Strange.
Instead of saying, wow, Rose McGowan was incredibly brave to speak up against Weinstein and the evils of Hollywood, we bicker over whether the way she stood up was good enough. Was it the proper kind of feminism? Was it...
Maybe in your circles, I don't know. Like, I think everyone was pretty much like, yeah, fuck him. He's a big ass weirdo. Fucking he jizzes on plants. Leave the plants alone. Like I don't want to look at all these things behind me and think about whether or not Harvey might think of jizzing on them. Like, that's fucking disgusting. You know? Jizz on yourself. Come on, like a normal person.
Was it too feminist? Funny enough, I don't think Rose McGowan even considers herself a feminist at all, at least as of late. She seems pretty politically neutral these days. None of that should matter, though. What should matter is that we root out the evil in Hollywood, both what they are presenting publicly to numb our minds and polluting
talking
privately,
about like
and get
Biden's lifetime of creepy behavior, exceptionally creepy behavior, and very potential accusations of sexual assault. Like if you talk about that, then everyone's like, oh, come on now, don't look. He likes smelling hair. Who here doesn't have a little bag of hair in their closet? You know, a big old bag of hair. Just every now and then you can just pull a little cluster out for a sniff. You know, that's Joe Biden's America.
These people put in jail. The amount of boys and girls from that world with endless trauma and assault stories is just sick. Even those who haven't been abused in a sexual manner, they've been completely psychologically destroyed. If you just look at some of the ways that these kids and adults act on stage, Miley Cyrus, Demi Lovato, Britney Spears, Paris Hilton, sometimes they get attacked, especially by people that are more right-leaning, as promoting degenerate culture. And that's why they're having these mental breakdowns, and they deserve it anyways. It's just, it's a political thing. It's because they're crazy leftist degenerates. I don't think that's the case. I think we need to start thinking of these people as victims as well, deprived of a proper childhood, deprived of love, and raised by abusers. If you think about it, if everyone around you just sees you as an object for them to make money from.
Yes. Agree. And let's not spend the majority of this video talking about the liberal pedophile cult.
They're liquoring you up, giving you lithium, throwing outfits at you to wear, and micromanaging your entire existence. And
yeah, it's pretty fucked up. I wonder if we could just pinpoint it to anything, like perhaps the profit incentive of our economic systems. That might be something to explore.
Threatening you if you don't listen and comply. Is this propaganda really even coming from these celebrities, or is this like the Manchurian Candidate? Everyone around them, even some of the people they would love and get along with and consider friends, makeup artists, assistants, security, Their presence.
Okay, you know the thing with Lauren and like a lot of conservatives, I would say, of this ilk, is that they always want to turn to this thing as if like this is all degeneracy. You know, can you believe that they are being forced? They're being forced to do this. They have to go on camera against their will and do hypersexualized imagery. Like they don't have any say whatsoever in any of this. I agree that forcing, especially very young, in the case of Britney Spears, I think she was 16, to be in hypersexualized music videos and stuff like that's really fucked up. That's incredibly fucked up behavior. No question about that. But you never point towards the industries themselves. Like, what exactly is the music industry doing? Why is the music industry trying to push some particular narrative? Why have they realized that things like, I don't know, the hypersexualization of young girls is something that sells a lot more? So if they sell a lot more, they're going to get a lot more monies. And then once they get more monies, they do it more. And it's this perpetuating cycle. I think that might be important to mention.
Is entirely predicated on the
Lost?
fact that
Everyone
they're
go check
getting
out Lost
paid
channel.
because said celebrity is getting
I love your
views and
dancing intro.
sales.
But I'm saying that why I got involved in the issue of whether or not it's appropriate for 20-year-old women to be asked to lick sledgehammers in videos for songs that have no lyrical reference to any such thing in them is I would see as an exploitation of somebody who's possibly a little too young to understand the dangers of allowing oneself to be exploited in that way.
These tours.
Absolutely. What was the word she used twice there, Lauren? Yeah, can you please talk about that?
And this traveling is like your whole life. So the only reason anyone is around them their whole life is because of the clicks they can get. That's where they've learned their value to others comes from. So is it really any surprise that when the fame starts to fade, we see desperate attempts at publicity stunts? Perhaps a need to feel valued as a human again? Or is it any surprise we see total mental breakdowns and attempts to escape this dichotomy altogether? By viewing these people as just insane, we are falling for the abuser's game. Anyone would go insane in those circumstances.
You have to realize that we're people and that we just need privacy and we need our respect. And those are things that you have to have as a human.
Think about how damn good and therapeutic it would feel just to shave your head and smash a car window while screaming after being held hostage.
I really wonder, I mean, maybe it was too before her time, but what she would have been saying around this era to then speak out about it. Like, you could at least add, like, and I was one of those people, I contributed to this problem.
Publicly as this image of beauty and feminine perfection, this star, by a bunch of managers who are blackmailing you, destroying the careers of anyone who spoke up about them, making you terrified to speak up as well, and legally steal.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, of course. Society as a whole was. It was so prominent that South Park made an entire episode just about it. About how, like, we were trying to sacrifice Britney Spears for the good of the harvest. No question. But, like, Lauren is doing this thing she loves to do, which is after the fact posture, or ignore certain things. And then, again, posture, you know? Like, this is the virtue signal that is now going to come. And I'm going to talk about how did no one notice this? How did no one notice the abuse, you know? I mean, other people, even in her own clips, are like, exploitation, exploitation, exploitation. Seems to be a very prominent word that she's ignoring.
Steamrolling any potential truth that dare slip out. And all of their money to do that is coming from you being the long blonde-haired touring girl that is the image of perfection. Yeah, maybe you would want to be the bald.
Oh yeah, shame on all of us, myself included. Of course, yeah. Just to have the honesty to call it out. Of course. Yeah, I was a huge piece of shit. All of us were. What the fuck were we thinking? And it was just like that culture of like, rich and famous people are rich and famous, so fuck them all, you know? They're not human. They stop being human the second that happens, and then whatever happens to them from that point on, you know? Fuck them all.
Bald-headed freak. This is not a crisis of personality. This is not a crisis of men or women, this is a crisis of genuine evil. And evil does not discriminate based on gender, industry, or your politics.
No. There's a lot of things wrong with what's going on here, but you can't ignore the way the economic system propels all of this stuff and is going to encourage individuals to keep hypersexualizing people for the purposes of profit. Okay? And on top of which, you can't just label what is happening in like Hollywood as just evil itself, evil incarnate. This is Satan. Satan is at the works, you know? Beelzebub is the one controlling the levers of power at all times. No, come on. This is fucked up shit that's happening everywhere. You don't call it out in other industries, you know? It doesn't sell nearly as well to be like the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church is a monstrously huge pedophile ring. I would posture what they're doing is evil. It certainly is evil. Absolutely. It's some evil, gnarly shit. Fuck them all, for sure. Fuck all the pedos. But at the end of the day, that's not the only thing at work here, you know? You can't just say, well, it's evil. It's evil incarnate. And if we call out the evil for what it is, and of course we apply a couple rosaries and perhaps a good cross or two, then we can purge it. You know, we can exorcise the evil from Hollywood and the elitists.
Just finds more clever ways to hide itself and adapt wherever it is allowed. This is something I had to learn after I began meeting people in conservative politics that I found to have very little morals. They did not represent the average person I met on the street, on tours, or at church, or in my daily life that had these principles, and it confused
Go on. Give us names. Spill the tea.
The hell out of me as to why they would want to represent this community they clearly are not a part of. Until I realized it had nothing to do with the politics and everything to do with the opportunity. And it's the same reason you can find many male feminists who are sex abusers. Because it wasn't about the feminism. It was about finding an effective way to wield their power with whatever mask was available. Left-wing, right-wing, television, Hollywood, art, video games, I don't care what it is. All of it. Rooting out evil in our leadership and cultural influences should never have been a partisan issue. But became so when we decided to pretend only people who didn't agree with us could be evil. I was 20 years old the first time I was told your life will be destroyed legally if you say a word about something I found to be genuinely corrupt. I was 22 to 23 the first time people saw through with threats to slander me publicly because I wouldn't sleep with them. And people will ask, oh, why don't you just come forward? Why don't you just name names? But only someone who does not understand the extent of sociopathy, how it affects people around you, and threats going on, could say something like that. And think about, like, that's just two small examples from my life. And think about the level of difference here. I have a small fringe audience. Yeah, there's money in alternative media, but not Hollywood money. I cannot even imagine the nightmare that some of these people are going through and how much truth is being hidden by fear right now. Which is why it was so beautiful to see Rose McGowan go on Tucker Carlson the other night discussing the Free Britney movement and declaring she has an open mind.
Wild. Okay, so conservatives are now fully trying to hijack the Free Britney movement and its popularity for their own uses, their own political games. Again, to talk about the globalists, the elitists, between Matt Gaetz, you know, someone who's now being credibly accused of being involved in human trafficking and drugging and raping a minor, to, you know, some of his associates like Lauren Southern here, who's talking about how, of course, it's this evil pedophile cult of Hollywood that is responsible for this.
And showing her advocacy isn't about picking political teams, but is about actually improving the situation for Britney and for all of us who are being abused by a corrupt system. And I think this olive branch from Rose is exactly what we needed right now. And I, for one, am taking it and will say she is a damn brave woman. And to those watching this, in the media, in politics, who are abusers, who are using your position to manipulate and blackmail people, your time is coming to an end. It may not be Rose, it may not be me, it may not be anyone for many, many years, but eventually you will be judged and you will be found wanting. And no manner of blackmail, lies, or money will help you then. We're all born powerless and we all die powerless. And you've bet your entire soul on but a small moment in eternity.
Well, how do you explain monarchs? Like, how
where you have power. It's not going to be there forever.
If she had lived, I would have said.
Oh, cool. The emotional ending. Yeah, free Britney, everybody. And also, hands off Britney, all you weirdos. The fuck is, like, what is wrong with, like, we oppose the conservativeship. And also, we also want to hijack this movement for our own political gains. Because we need to control it. It's getting out of control. You know? There's that whole thing.